You should study Bitcoin. Really? Since its creation 15 years ago, Bitcoin has been the best performing asset on Earth. Imagine yourself investing $100 a few years ago and being a multi-millionaire by now. This is the magic of Bitcoin, the king of cryptocurrencies. But did you know that Bitcoin is not just a tool to make money? It is also a technological wonder, the promise of a power shift between authorities and populations. Let me introduce a solution to all of your problems. Bitcoin, the trustless assets. Bitcoin is immune to bank runs like the Silicon Valley Bank. No one can take your Bitcoin, no one can steal it from you. It is simple. Buy some Bitcoin, store your Bitcoin, keep your Bitcoin. But wait. It's good and all, but how can I be sure I can trust Bitcoin? The answer is simple. Study Bitcoin. Imagine a cobweb. A cobweb is made of a lot of strings attached together to create a solid structure. Cut one string, cut two or cut three, and the cobweb is still standing. This is how Bitcoin has been created. A multitude of nodes all connected with each other. This is the key to a robust system. Decentralization. If all the strings of the cobweb were connected to the center, if you cut the center, the whole cobweb would fall apart. Just like the Silicon Valley Bank tragedy. The power of decentralization is to survive attacks, as one target is easier to hit than 10 at the same time. Oh, okay, great. And how does it work? Bitcoin is a white page on which anybody can write. Imagine you wanted to send, let's say, $50 in Bitcoin to your friends. All you would have to do is write on this page, I sent $50 to Bob, supposing your friend's name is Bob. This sentence is your transaction. Thanks to this white page you wrote on, you can easily send money to anybody. Wait, hold on. If anybody can write what they want on this page, someone could use my name to make a transaction. Therefore, I'd lose my money. Yes, indeed. This is why the transaction has to be validated before the money arrives in your friend's balance. To write on the white page, you first need to create what we call a Bitcoin wallet. Your Bitcoin wallet allows you to send, receive, and hold your Bitcoin. When you create your wallet, you get two things: a public key, PK, which you will use to receive money, and a secret key, SK, which you will use to send money. After writing I sent $50 to Bob on the white page, you will need to sign the transaction. This is where the secret key comes in. Your secret key allows you to send money because it is your signature. So, if I understand it correctly, each transaction has the signature of the person who made it to ensure no one can spend someone else's money. Yes, exactly. The secret key is the proof of ownership. This is why you cannot show your secret key to anyone. And what if I copy someone's signature to use their money? The secret key makes your signature, your cryptographic signature. Nobody can copy it because the series of characters is different for every transaction you make. So imagine you want to copy your friend's previous transaction to use his money. It wouldn't work. When you make a transaction, your transaction is broadcasted to what we call nodes. This is what makes Bitcoin decentralized. This is the strings of the cobweb. It is the nodes who will validate or invalidate the transaction. For your transactions to be valid, the nodes check 5 things: the syntax and the format, if your transaction is correctly formatted, double spending, if you didn't already send the money you want to send, the balance, if you have a sufficient enough balance to make the transaction, the signature, if you are the owner of the Bitcoin you are sending, and the script, if all the conditions to make the transactions are met. If all these conditions are met, the transaction is declared valid by the node. Oh, great. This means my friend will receive my $50. Not yet, this is just the first step. At this point, you can't be sure your Bitcoin will pass the test of time. Your transaction has to be set in stone. Set in stone? I thought Bitcoin was digital. To set the transaction in stone, in other words, to make sure your friend doesn't lose the $50 you sent him, Bitcoin uses the blockchain technology. So how does it work? A valid transaction is not necessarily a confirmed transaction. A confirmed transaction is a transaction that crossed the finish line. The final step. So your $50 are now valid. This means that the transaction passed all the nodes tests. Now the nodes will put your transaction in what we call the mempool. The mempool is the place where nodes put all the valid transactions waiting to be confirmed. At this stage, we are slowly starting to turn your paper money into solid rock. To turn paper into stone, let me introduce a new concept: Bitcoin mining. Nothing to do with rocks mined though. The ones who mine bitcoins are called miners. They are computers solving mathematical problems. Miners will take the transactions placed by nodes in the mempool to bundle them together and create what we call a block. A block? Why would you need a block? As its name suggested, the blockchain technology is a chain of blocks. This is what sets the transaction in stone. It sets the transaction in stone because it works like this. The end of the chain only exists thanks to its start. If one link of the chain is altered or deleted, the rest of the chain falls apart, just like a train. If the first car derails, the rest of the train crashes. This makes Bitcoin very robust and nearly impossible to attack. Imagine someone wants to change a transaction on the chain to, let's say, give himself $1,000. This person would need to change every single block created after the one he wants to change. And as I am going to show you, this is nearly impossible. If you stayed till now, good job. You're on the right path to call yourself a I understand Bitcoin person. Subscribe and hold on tight. It is about to get exciting. So what are blocks? Blocks are a pack of transactions put together. They create the links to the chain. Oh, I see. So anybody can add a block to the chain? No, one block can be added at a time. After bundling the transactions together, miners end up with a block, a candidate block. Candidate blocks are simply blocks that want to be added to the blockchain. Blocks do not confirm anything before they are added to the chain. So this means that candidate blocks do not validate your transactions. Blocks do. Each miner is competing with the other miners of the network. The miner who will add its candidate block to the blockchain will be rewarded in Bitcoin. Alright? And how does Bitcoin determine who will add the next block to the blockchain then? This is where it gets technical. Let me introduce a new concept: proof of work. Proof of work is a system that ensures that a certain amount of effort has been made. Bitcoin determines who will add the next block to the chain by looking at who found the proof of work for the next block. So what is the proof of work of a block? Well, the proof of work is a series of numbers starting by a certain amount of zero, depending on the difficulty of the network that you get after inputting a nonce in the cryptographic function SHA-256. Bro, what did you just say? Subscribe! No, that's not what you said. Remember, I told you that for the chain to exist, it has to be complete from start to finish. If one link is missing or is altered, from that point, the rest of the chain will no longer be valid. Just like if the first car of a train derails, the other cars will crash. Well, the proof of work is meant to prevent the train from crashing. Listen carefully, you are about to understand where I'm going with this. Each block carries data. To make it easier, we are going to say that it only carries transaction. To ensure we produced enough effort to secure the transaction, Bitcoin asks us to find what we call a hash. The hash of a block is the result of the data of the block plus the key in form of numbers inputted into a certain algorithm. The algorithm will give you a series of numbers depending on what you put in, the data and the key. The proof of work is when you find a key that will make the algorithm give you a series of numbers starting by a certain amount of zero. This amount of zero varies depending on the number of miners trying to find the key. In other words, the difficulty of mining. The network adjusts the difficulty of mining to ensure new blocks are not created too quickly. When a miner finds the key to the next block, he broadcasts it to the nodes that will verify the key and that the block is valid. Once validated, the block can be added to the chain and your friend can finally receive your $50. After adding the block to the chain, the miner who added the block to the chain gets paid in Bitcoin. Right now, miners get paid 3.125 Bitcoin for adding a block. But wait, why do we need such a complex process? Well, it's simple. To make the chain robust, each block of the chain has a key and the key of the previous block is added in the data of the next block. This means that all the blocks are linked together. Remember when I said that the hash was determined by the data of the block plus the key? Well, if you change the key of the previous block, the data of the next one will change. Meaning, you will need to find a new key for the new block and so on till the end of the chain. One person alone can't do it, and there is a high likelihood that a group of people can't either. This is why Bitcoin is so robust. Nobody can change their history without rehashing the rest of the chain, making it nearly impossible due to the cost it would cause. Yes, indeed, mining Bitcoin requires money. You have to buy the computers, and you also have to pay the electricity that will fuel them. Computers all over the world are securing the network. It would be crazy to think that one person alone could beat the whole world. This system ensures that the chain stays intact. Your $50 are now set in stone. If I made you understand how Bitcoin works, you can subscribe to my channel. Here's a video on why you should buy Bitcoin.